Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Brightlingsea Town Council meeting on the 11th of December 2025. I look to all of my members and public to remind them that outside is refreshments after the meeting to celebrate the seasonal period. So I look forward to that.
Don't ask too many questions.
I had about 100 on there.
Okay. So, if I could move to item one, apologies, please.
Apologies from Councillor Mitchell. No,
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the minutes of the meeting of the 20th of November. Can I ask if there's any corrections or inaccuracies on them? No, thank you. Can I have a proposal?
I move.
Thank you, seconder. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mayor's announcement. I didn't actually produce one this time. I've been incredibly busy, but I've also there haven't been a lot of things to do. Tuesday day, very good. I'll say that I spent some time discussing the vagaries of the local government reorganisation with our colleagues in Kent from Sandwich, and the mayor, very interestingly, they're going through this slightly behind us, so he was quizzing me as to how it worked so far, and I didn't let out any of our secrets. That was very good. The other thing that I just would like to mention is we had a visit, Councillor Chapman and I had a visit from the original manager of Boots, who I thought was very nice. He asked for a meeting. The lady that's running Boots at the moment is being promoted and moved on, which is unfortunate in one way because I think she's done a jolly good job in the last few months. But the good thing is that the new person that takes over as manager will be a prescribing pharmacist as well. So the place won't be open and not be able to get a prescription because he's the guy that will open the door every day. So I thought that was quite a good move forward for us. And there is going to be some other improvements. I believe they're doing some improvements in the shop and pharmacy as well to make it larger. So I thanked him for coming and informing the council. I thought it was very kind of them. Didn't have to do that. And the final thing to say is to remind everybody of the Christmas Tree Festival running tomorrow. We as a council have entered, my two colleagues here have done a fantastic job, entered a Christmas tree which is the Mayors of Brightlingsea, and all the names of the mayors from 1974 to 2005 are on it. It's a certain winner, I think. Okay, that concludes my next announcement. So moving on to item 4, declaration of interest. Has anybody got a peculiar or other registrable interest of any of the items on the agenda? No, thank you very much. So, special item this week, ladies and gentlemen, local government reorganisation. If I can hand over to Councillor Barrett.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering if I can declare an interest because there is a conflict perhaps on the horizon between the town and the district councils, which was flagged up at the meeting with me on Monday. But I think I personally will sit in the town council camp, basically because of the work we've put into this, and I think representation needs to be stronger from this side than the other side, if you see what I mean. So it's going to be quite tricky having to absent myself from the meeting where it is discussed, if it is discussed. But I think that would be, I don't know if it would agree, that would be the position that I think
you can seek dispensation.
Best for the town. Well, I think colleagues Chapman and Steady would have to do that as well. But, I think we do some advice on that, but I think dispensation might be too much for the meetings. Anyway, going through it, I hope we pulled together the summation of a lot of meetings that we've had during the course of this year, starting we're back in March, shortly after the decision was made to go to unitarisation. So we've had, I think, four meetings of councillors, exchanges of information, with TDC officers, and then we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago on the 2nd of December where an options paper was presented to colleague councillors, and figures as much as we could get them accurately were presented by Councillor Atkinson, so many thanks to him for doing that. And I think the summary is there, shows that the assets that are in the town that are currently under TDC ownership, although some are disputed, 42 beach huts that are on town council land, are potentially transferable to town council. And I think, as I say, Councillor Atkinson has done a really valiant job in trying to extract figures from tendering as best he could, or best we could, because there are some things that are not identifiable, like, for instance, a single toilet, running costs, because they're all put into a general pot and there's a general kind of staff. You get my meaning? And that pot is usually empty. And the staff budget similarly is a centralised allocation of finance, which is difficult to extract individual contributions from. So there have been some estimates, and as I say, using Dave's database and improves experience. But what we're asking for at this stage is that we submit the options paper that was drafted for that meeting on the 2nd of December, and along with the draft financial costings that Dave has summarised, and that we will put that on the table as the next step in these proceedings. And it's not, as it says there, it's an options paper and a draft financial, so it's not a final claim or case by any means, but it would signal the start of a negotiating period if the feasibility of the transfers is accepted by tendering. They may accept some of the asset transfers, they may accept all of them, they may accept none of them, we don't know yet. But all I can say is that this council is more advanced than other councils in similar positions. For instance, Walton and Frinton are doing similar exercise, Harwich and Manningtree, town councils with assets that are owned by tenant. So, I think I'll thank all colleagues who made a contribution to the discussions, and I hope that the paper, the options paper and the financials represent the position as best we can portray it and assess it. But the procedure from then on would be a response from tendering, an indication of acceptance of some of the proposals, and then there would have to be the submission of a formal business case to them, which I think we would probably need to get some kind of professional advice in terms of estimates of value and condition surveys and stuff like that, and so we would be fully briefed, fully prepared, and go in with our eyes open if we were going to go down whatever road we choose. So it's all, it's all work in progress, but there are some tight deadlines. There's, I think there was a paper that an informal cabinet meeting on Monday, and they put a paper forward. They've allocated a significant sum of money they've been tendering to cover potential legal costs in terms of transferring contracts and so on, and doing their legal work. They don't have really the capacity to do that long-term work, and we would, I think, have an indication early in the new year about then preparing any business cases that would then come back for scrutiny by this council through finance assets committees and eventually full council. So I hope people can be reassured that we are going in with our eyes open and that we will make a fully informed and considered decision on all the evidence and all the facts as we are able to obtain them. So that's what we're asking is to have the support tonight for submission of that options paper with the financials and see where that takes us. So David, if you want to add anything to that?
Only that you mentioned the business case, that was quite important, and would also have to consider the impact on the management here. It's taking on quite a lot more resources and cost and things, so it would have quite an impact. It's not just transferring features. So, and that would be the opportunity to look in detail at all the facts and figures, make some sense of it. But first of all, we've got to give a bit of a steer as to what's acceptable or what's to be negotiated. So what's really interesting.
Okay, thank you very much. Rick, do you have a question?
I was just going to say that I think it's correct that we now, what we've done is correct, and we'll now wait for tendering to come back with their answer, what they think is possible, plausible, and I think that we can really analyse their response with then some surety what they've offered right now. So I'm very, very happy with this.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I just have one you might be able to answer me. Where it says about selected condition surveys, who will provide those surveys, tendering, or will we be expected to pay for them?
I think we would be expected to pay towards that. I did ask if there was going to be any financial assistance from the, I think they've allocated 400,000 to cover all their legal expenses and capacity costs. And I said, you know, the town council would you be given any financial support, and there was basically a no at that point. But I think there's got to be some formal support for the business case preparation, because they've got to have a standardised business case. They can't, different councils can't have different ones. And I think it's like putting in a grant application. You do get advice from the people who give you the grant about how you're doing it. So I think that was an initial need from all of the officers. But I don't know, you know, we have got surveyors who work with Penright and valuations and so on, don't we? So it may be that we do have to, you know, use some of our resources to do that work.
Any other questions? No? Are you on?
So I propose that the recommendation, I formally propose that we submit the options paper with the financials as provided by Councillor Atkinson.
Okay, in favour? Against? Thank you, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, moving on therefore to item 6 then. Alan, would you like to come and see something?
Sit here.
Yes, right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice for me because I'm moving tonight forward. I haven't got a rush off to St. Moses, so that's nice. I'm just conscious of what you said about getting things done quickly. So, is there in my notes there's some things that I think are significant, but is there anything anybody particularly wants to pick out before?
Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Item 1 about the Greenway Jacobs contract. I understand there was some opposition to renewing that at a cost of 3 billion. I understand the contract was going for another 7 years. I think most people's experience would be that Greenway Jacobs kind of really not fit for purpose in terms of keeping the roads as maintained as they should be. I just wondered what the arguments were for that decision and whether you voted for or against it.
Okay. I'm just
can I just ask, what decision?
About giving Ringway Jacobs a contract.
No?
Maybe say that.
No?
Procurement of Ringway Jacobs contract. He bids.
No, okay, go carry on.
Yes, please, yeah.
Ringway Jacobs' contract is in force. I think it runs out in August.
27.
Sorry?
27 it runs out.
Yeah. So, that's gonna run, till it does. In the meantime, Essex are going out to market to find if there's anybody else out there and who they are and what their conditions are. The same way as you've just done here, where you said, you came to council and said, I've got an idea, we're gonna go to tendering, I need your permission to. That's all that's happened. All that's happened is that there's a list of questions, list of good areas, a list of bad areas. At the moment, Ringway Jacobs suffer the exactly what you said. At the moment, that they would go into a negotiation, and they're carrying around with them baggage. So there are some people that would say that's a terrible thing, so would never in a million years. Other people say, well, at least they're in the game and they've got some of the fleets. But at this moment in time, no decisions have been made. The only decision that's been made is to go to tender.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, press reports are wrong. Obviously, you shouldn't believe everything.
Yeah, so at this moment in time, it's further forward in as much as as it happens next.
So, sorry, excuse me, just, so there wasn't a motion put by the opposition, Labour and Lib Dems to not go to Ringway Jacobs?
No, you're talking about this week?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay, that's a slightly different set of circumstances, but it's the same discussion. If I remember rightly, the Labour thing was to negotiate a contract with whoever, but only go for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So, so that was the big debate. The big debate was, if you can imagine, someone's got a contract that runs past, Essex County Council will have a contract with somebody that will run past the life of the existence of Essex County Council. Yeah. So within any contract, there'll be clauses for people to get out, there'll be clauses for people to get in. At the moment, Southend run with a different company. It's not uncommon. I think tendering just did their contract with Veolia, didn't they?
Yeah, but did it on the basis that it was sensible not to tie the hands of the unitary to a long contract, and I think that was the argument that was discussed this week, wasn't it?
The discussion that we had back was that if you did that, you'd have a very poor level of choices, because, and I'm told that this Ringway Jacobs contract, or whatever it is, in its current form, wherever it goes, is the biggest single contract in the UK of that style. And what we want as Essex is we want as many of the good people as possible to. So the only decision that was made on Tuesday was that the proposition was put forward to go to 3 years, and that was defeated.
So it's gone for the 7 years, and
Well, at the moment, 7 years is the start. There was some things I learned there is that I think, and maybe this may not be 100%, but I think it's Hampshire have done a 10-year contract, and there are talks of even bigger ones. So it's an ordinary set of commercial circumstances. There'll be a contract. There'll be a contract for the unitaries to dump them with a cost, and there'll be charges and conditions for the people who are going to get the contract to walk away. So first of all, nothing to do with Ringway Jacobs at this stage. And there were some little bits and pieces, but the key thing was to go from 3 years to 7 years.
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else have any questions?
Only thing, you haven't heard more about the bus shelter up the top of Reading Road.
No.
I thought I'd keep reminding you.
Yeah, no. Okay, so shall I'll go through what then the thing. My residence clinic is next week. It's a bit unusual. I normally have my residence clinic in the week of a council meeting. So I can't do that. So if anybody's got any questions they want to, I think it's fair to say that the moving of the election of the mayor, elections 2 years, came as a bit of a surprise. Nothing anybody could do about it. There are, I think, one council was trying to take the government to court, and the bottom line is it's going to happen. It's whatever there is the driving line. As far as I'm concerned, the meeting on Tuesday, there was a big thing made about that heritage and culture. There's some places that have been done some filming. There's a couple of TV scenes which I haven't seen that I've heard about, and I made sure that they remembered that Brightlingsea was a Singapore for etc. The big issue at the meeting on Tuesday was about children's services. I think this is worthwhile reflecting. If there's anything that's going to bring down the current system for councils or unitaries or whatever, the big problem, and I've talked about for ages, is the cost of adult social care, cost of children in need, because they are obligations. You can't say, you can say as a council, well, we won't repair every light bulb, we won't do this, we won't do that. You can't make a decision to leave a kid on the street. So, and that's, bearing in mind, that's where the big unknown sits. Just to remind you, Essex County Council, £2,000 million is their turnover. Just under 800 million is in that area alone. And just to remind you, 800 million is roughly what we will pay in rents. So that's crucial. Interesting. I'll tell you this only because it's I followed some media this week. I went to Great Bentley, and those of you that know Great Bentley will know that there's a planning application in linked to the cricket club. Most of you know the cricket club's right in the middle of the green. They've got a lovely old pavilion, but it's outgrown its source. It's one pitch. There's no changing rooms for ladies. There's no changing room for disabled. So a developer's come along Hills and has offered, may not be right, 20 acres, I think, towards the edge of the tech village in exchange for an enabling application to go in for 150 houses. So this was a public meeting, it was very well attended, public meeting, and it came out really surprising. There was some people there who I didn't know, and they were saying how inevitable some of the plans were. It's inevitable there will be houses in Great Bentley. That was what they were arguing about, was how many in. But there was a change in attitude in as much as a couple of people who knew a bit more about planning than some of the others said if there is going to be housing and they are going to go, and if they go to appeal, etc., they're going to get through. The argument was, why don't we get into bed with the developers right now and decide what we, Great Bentley, wanted. So it was I've never been to a council, but never been to a public meeting like it. It was really interesting. They were accepting the inevitability of there being some development and saying, right, well, if there's going to be development, which will be this, and up came a whole series of things that were really important to the people of Great Bentley, doctors' surgeries, a bit of the schools, and it was really interesting, and they established a discussion which is now going on, and it's just a very interesting way to approach it.
150 houses on the cricket pitch.
Sorry?
150 houses on the cricket pitch.
Which is what I was thinking.
I think the houses were 40 acres in the cricket pitch. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But that was the concept. a resident came back, I've gone back to Jim about it, is there's someone at Hurst Green wants a drop curb for the bus.
Yeah.
Kent and Essex Fisheries, take a forget how big Kent and Essex Fisheries is, and it's based in Brighton, very well respected. And the good news for me is that on my list of things to be done, the one that's, the list of things on my priority list to be done, one's Lufkin's Farm, and that's been done last week. That's horrible crossroads. If you've ever gone there, it's horrible. Not a lot of answer to what you could do apart from a roundabout or traffic lights. And also the second one is the Flag Hill speed reduction. That's going through as well. So, and that leaves me with just one more to do, which is the hedgehog.
Good.
So that's my little bit.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Nick?
Yeah, just the one you mentioned there, the cancellation of the elections for the mayor of the Combined Authority next year. I don't know whether you can answer this or whether you can give some indication about whether you're going to hold an election for the county council next year, because you obviously postponed it this year, and it was for 12 months, as I understand. What's your
The decision is with the government. That's the first thing. They're the only people who can do it. They're the only people that they controlled it last time. We just followed it. Last time there was a logical reason.
you voted for it last night?
Sorry?
You voted for it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we were offered it by the government.
No, you invited it. You wrote, Essex County Council wrote a letter to the government
After
asking.
discussions with the government, yeah. And Kevin Bentley was at Downing Street today. So the assumption within Essex County Council is that the elections are going ahead in May.
Good. Jim? You have a question?
I just wondered how the oysters were getting on
You are lovely.
at the fisheries meeting.
I think we're on a sabbatical. I don't think you can get Mersey and Cullen oysters
And
because
last time they said they were trying to protect them because they weren't growing very well.
that's exactly it. Just wondering.
Any other questions from council? No? Okay, at this moment, I'll put the meeting on hold and ask the public if they have any questions for Alan. Yeah, Mal.
I've got two questions for Alan. I was at a meeting
Do you mind if I turn around?
Yes, of course.
with people going into hospital. What is Essex County Council doing to make elderly people more healthy?
Wow, what a good question.
Healthy people don't go to hospital.
I'm not 100% sure I can answer that, to be truthful.
Okay, well, maybe we'll leave that then. In other words, nothing.
Sorry?
In other words, nothing.
No, I don't think that's an unfair comment. You know that.
I know that. But anyway, I'll move on. Is Essex County Council responsible for road cleaning?
Sometimes, yes.
And what
Sometimes.
times?
Well, for instance, let's take a good example. Motherans Lane.
Would you say B1029, main road into Brighton Sea?
I would say that the bulk of that is, yeah.
All of it?
Right the way out to. You might be saying the other because at one end you've got the crossroads freighting.
Say the other end.
What you mean at the heart?
B1029.
You mean at the heart?
Yes.
Oh, well, the heart. I think I'm right in saying this. I think last time we discussed it, it's the responsibility. You're talking about the detritus, are you?
Pardon?
The detritus that was there today.
Well, the other day I was down there, we was going round and an elderly person nearly slipped over on the weed and whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be cleaned up anymore.
I don't think
It's
that's-
still the main road, B1029.
I don't think that's fair to tendering because I think tendering do come down.
Well, I haven't been down there for ages.
I don't think
I
that's,
don't think we claim the road, we claim the beach. And we
Excuse
do
me,
it
hang on a second.
enforceable.
We did put a complaint into tendering that the area at the Hard hadn't been swept and Veolia were sent out to clean it. And apparently it is on their schedule to do it regularly,
Okay.
but they don't, but our grounds manager is now checking to make sure they do.
If so, can the notice be put up slippery surface, because the other person would have saw this sign and not slipped over? There's no sign saying slippery surface.
It's not always slippery, is it?
It is if you glass over it.
I think we can't answer that, but we were looking.
But it's outside your front door, so you see it every
I
day.
know.
And a few other councillors.
I don't know. We all know.
We
We've all
don't do
slipped
nothing.
over.
Thank you, Mr. Colgan. I'll do it, so you carry on there. You must be healthy. You don't go to hospital.
Are there any, I'm gonna,
No.
you know, let's, you like taking, you know, and you have your humours, right? I've been in hospital with cancer bits and pieces for the last 6 months. And I've been given excellent treatment.
No, but
Absolutely excellent treatment. So you mean to make an impact and fine, but there are an awful lot of people in the NHS working absolutely fantastically hard. So to make a generalisation like that, it's no good. I think that's a bit insulting.
no, my daughter was a nurse on the stroke unit. She went in for a 12-hour shift. She come home and her lunchbox hadn't been opened. She never had time. But if people were healthy, they wouldn't go into hospital.
okay, Malcolm, we take the point.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
this is not a debate, this is a question
Yeah.
to Alan. You've made, is there any other question?
No, I'll come and see Alan at your surgery.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Alan. If I can move on then.
That's it next to Malcolm.
I move on to item 7, please, the update from the district councillors.
Well, nothing really to add.
So you're at the top of the list.
Yeah, just the elections have been probably the conversation.
Okay, thank you. Jane?
I'm just not going to apologise as such that my report is so long, but as you know, on Monday we had planning policy and local plan at tendering, and part of the report I've given in is extracts from the actual document that we had to vote on. I've got to stress, yes, I did vote on it, but I'm trying to explain in this report that you cannot just pinpoint one part. I would love to have voted on each section individually. You have to vote on it as a whole. The recommendations are in there and you'll see the reason that I supported it. I'm also going to stress that tendering do not want this housing. The letter has gone in to complain about it, but you know, like everything, it's been ignored. So they actually have to pinpoint places that they can think they can develop. Whether it ever goes ahead, nobody will ever really know. So, as I said, they've got to find these places. If not, the inspector will come down and find them for you, and you'll get no say. I can honestly say that tendering, when this first came out, and I've known about the numbers, and they were higher than that for some time, the original plans were going to be, housing was going to be built either side of All Saints Church, on the field around the industrial units and the farmhouse. I've fought that one hard, and I've got to say thank you to Essex County Highways, because they also backed everything that I had said and said they would not support an application along with roads coming out onto that main road. So the next stage was to bring it down closer to Sampson's Road. Again, we are arguing that. But as I said, I supported this because it now means the officers can come and talk to us and negotiate with us. If I refused it, everybody else supported it, but if you've refused it, then they may just say, well, we're not going to bother coming to talk to you and engaging with you. We are looking at other options. I've held meetings with landowners down there to make sure If we could move any of it, whether we could get some building in that's much smaller, we are working very closely, and this is where Essex County have got to come in and trying to get the covenant removed from the Whale House site, because that would be the ideal place for us to put some houses onto. So the officers are working with that, they're talking to the landowner. So really, I know it's a long report, but it is only extracts from the whole report. Matt spoke as well. They know our point of view. So we will just continue to, argue's the wrong word, but I think what we've got to do is we've got to get a business case together as to the reasons we feel they shouldn't be there, and that, it's a long process, as Vic has said earlier on, so that's why my report's long.
Okay, thank you. Do we take questions? Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say.
okay,
No, I was
Oh,
gonna
no,
say,
it wasn't a question, it was more just a point. I should have noticed this on the 9th, but when they kept showing that hybrid map of the ABCD, ABCD, we should be a D. And that means it looks a lot worse on that map than what it does with the medium-sized C.
Yeah.
So I think it could be worth asking someone there to change that, because that's out in the media and everything.
Yeah, I did send that in, so.
is there any other? No, okay.
Not to Jane, but to Councillor Barry, but I think.
Oh, okay, I thought we'd just do councillor
Yes,
Barry,
yeah.
Jane, because it was such an in-depth
I
case.
just wondered, with all the arguments that you made here, there must have been some discussion prior to this meeting. But was none of that taken on board by Tendring at the time? What's going to change your minds for them to take it on board during discussions with us?
Everything was told to tendering originally, as I said, where the first plan was going to be was up closer to the church. But I think they are well aware it is basically out of their hands. They either come up with this now, nobody, realistically, all these sites, they're not all going to be developed, but they've got to go in with them.
I'm just wondering, for example, why we're listed as a D. Criteria for a D is the transport and the train station, etc., etc. We haven't got any of those.
No,
We should
we're
have been
actually
listed
listed as a C.
But the number we've ended up with
It's
is
the number
a D.
that it should be a D, but we are listed as a C. And I've got to give all credit to the officers, because they've already said they will support us. So,
I can't see why they're saying they support us, but they still went ahead with it.
they've got no choice.
Yeah, can I just say that they were instructed by government to come up with a proposal for this number of houses. They had no choice in the number. Obviously, they had some choice about where they went.
Yeah.
And I think in the view of the planning officers, they have looked and concentrated the majority of their houses where they consider them to be most appropriately sited. But there was no escaping the fact that there had to be some imposition, if you like, on every part of the district, and that was what they came up with here. Now, whether that stands up to scrutiny, and I think Matt has already indicated that there will be, a campaign to produce evidence to oppose this proposal. But the problem that you have, if you don't have a plan, is that you have no control over development. And we found this in the previous sort of 10 years, that developers were making applications to build houses on fields that landowners were giving permission, and they were just going ahead putting applications being refused by 10th district because they didn't have a supporting plan.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that there's got to be a plan in the first place, but it just seems like we've submitted Tendring have submitted a flawed plan as far as Brighton's is concerned, straight off the bat, rather than a plan which is feasible, for want of a better word, straight off the bat.
There's 300, is it 325?
300 of
Yeah.
that in
300 at that top.
25
Yeah.
years.
I think the other, if it was 325 on that site, I think that would be, I think there's some clarification, but 325 in all the town, there's two smaller sites within the town, that they would probably assess differently to the impact of a big 300 one, so it needs clarification.
And I think also, as a straight, if we can get that covenant lifted from the Well House site,
You're not going to get 300 houses.
you're not going to get 300, but it proves we are working
Yeah.
with them, if you
It
like.
really satisfies.
I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that we don't take any housing. I appreciate that we've got to take an allocation. But it seems like we've been given an allocation which is, as I say, flawed right from the very start based on our transport infrastructure, all those things.
No, I do agree with you.
I think I just want to go back and say what I've written to everyone privately about, and say that we should really be getting together and talking about this as a group. Not publicly, because I've got a couple of ideas on how we can get this stopped and still have a local plan and not jeopardise that. But I don't want to give away what they might think.
Okay, well, I think we're going to organise that. We'll probably organise that through the same committee. Does anybody else have any questions of Jonah? I'd just like to make a point, and Alan brought it up earlier about this idea of Great Bentley, where they did a deal and they're going to get some money. And I'd just like the district councillors to remember this. We got well in front of where before I joined, but there was approval for the holiday park in Robinson Road. Thank you. The section 106 on that one was 200,000, and we're allocated 14,000 of that. I think if we're going to get 300 houses, I think we should get the section 106 money here to support our community, not to take 90% of it away and put it somewhere else in tendering. I'm sure there's very valuable places in tendering that need it, but like, God, do you think we'd get a little bit more than less than 10%, 5% of the total money available? And I really ask our district councillors when this comes up that we'd like the section 106 money in Brightlingsea, not disappears.
I think it has to be put in as part of the planning proposal now, what you want to do with that money.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, rather than it being paid over and then you determine what you do with it. I think it forms part of the submission.
That particular application, well, I think we got 14,000, which was for section 106 of open spaces, but the rest of it went for social housing around the whole district. I mean, and as far as I know, none, well, probably we haven't claimed it anyway.
As Vic just said, the things like the policies and the proposals are not even done yet, and they may find, which will come in next year, that will stop any development, because they go out for what they call a call for sites, and the developer puts them in. And I think somewhere in my report you can see where the sites were in. Lime Street was one of them. And they've thrown out as many as they feel certainly not viable at all. And but you're right, the policies have changed on the 106, but our policies aren't even written yet. That is the next stage, and they might come down, look at that, it's all underwater, and they're going to say, oh, we can't develop it. It's all hindsight at the moment.
So section 106 may not exist then.
Well, true,
Yeah, well, whatever the equivalent is. I'd like to see it come to the town, which has actually put the houses in it.
Yeah, cool.
Graham.
Well, I'll just add a bit to what my colleague has said. So one thing, what you said, section 106, it's not just about town council, it's about doctors, surgeries, the schools.
Oh, absolutely.
My understanding is, in some of the past ones, the schools have not bothered to put anything in, not put a claim in. And the doctors, I believe, didn't put anything in. So we have to encourage those organisations to be on the board as well. Local plans, as Mick said, tend to have a bad reputation of not completing a local plan. That's what led to a lot of, officers coming in to do different buildings in different places, which probably will be not back now. But there's an interesting document that in 2000, it was called the Local Plan 2013 to 2033 and beyond, and that was a draft. 2017, there was a review of that, and I'll just quote from some of the information. Our number then was for 174. And the comment was, the Brothersley got off lightly. And again, the comment was, the town council over the last 4 years have held many public consultations at the parish hall and taken residents' comments into consideration. So that's obviously got to be an objective for us to do the same, to do them. What was also very interesting, there was 5 other sites put forward for the, in the draft plan. There was a total of 991 dwellings
In Brighton, so
in Brighton Sea. After representation from the town council and district councils, they were not included in the draft local plan.
Yeah.
So if we get our act together,
Yeah.
then we can have a say, but we've got to get a, dare I say, we've done a really good campaign in 2013, or 2017, and we did actually,
Right.
and you talk about developers as well. We were actually talking, going on from that, we were actually talking to developers. We talked to Hopkins Homes, for instance, and we talked about to change the layouts, and they did change the layouts on our recommendations. So you can do it, but we have got to be on our game.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just, where Brian said, yes, we did talk to the developers. If you look at the Robinson Road site, where Bryan House Court is, which is the social housing, if you like, now, they wanted to put columns of flats. And when Graham and I met with them, we went, absolutely, we'll fight you all the way, we don't want blocks of flats there. And they took that away and actually listened to us. And bear in mind that Robinson Road site, the first one, 90% of that was sold to Brighton Sea people. And the biggest majority were our children buying their first houses.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call a halt to there because we're going to pull this to another meeting. It's, I'm sure there's some very valid points there, but I'd like Graham to finish his report.
Yeah, I think we do.
That's it. Okay. So you had a question?
I have a very nice passive one, Councillor Downing. Mick, this morning I was down the promenade with Frank's laying the swimming buoys, which I was very surprised. I got a last minute telephone call to say they're coming up, even though we hadn't agreed on the price, but we don't know where that is at the moment. It's flying between Frank Walls and your office in Tendring, which is with the blocks. Whilst I was there, 5 residents came up to me inquiring about these caravans at Western Promenade. I'm sorry I wasn't here at the last council meeting. Could you confirm that you actually put in for a traffic regulation order on Western Promenade?
There is a North Essex Partnership meeting in January, and there will be a pre-meeting before that, sort of mid-January. So I've got a meeting with Andy Payne next Wednesday. I will be asking him to put that forward, or to certainly discuss with net officers. And I think the procedure is about getting public support. I imagine we will get public support, but as I've said a couple of times, we have to be careful to get the balance right in terms of allowing residents and visitors the freedom to park, as opposed to 2 or 3 people parking there.
So I've got the names of the 5 that spoke to me, one of which was a very, very angry lady. I mean, really angry.
Yeah.
People
like being angry, yes.
Fortunately, I couldn't nip it in the mud, so I was okay.
Yeah.
But it is a problem, it's a real problem.
You first thing, Graham.
I just wanted to say, like what Nick was saying, we're trying to be very careful because we don't want to spoil it. Otherwise they're going to spoil it for everybody, and anybody that wants to.
I understand, I mean, with my tourism hat on,
we've just got to be a bit
I
careful.
understand that more than anything. But
there are examples around the district, Frinton, Aldeburgh, etc.,
yeah.
that have
I
put
think
signs
Nick
up
has told us
with,
about
they've
that,
just
yeah.
put signs up, no overnight parking by
Yeah.
order.
Yeah.
Works for Aldeburgh.
Well, there may be some enforcement and bylaws there. I'm not sure about that.
Graham?
And then also the other issue, which I think we can use in this, which was today, I spoke to the Groundsman today, I actually did notice it this morning, where some of the bins down there, it would appear that the people who are using the caravans, they're using their bins for like what you could call domestic waste, and they're overflowing. So I think maybe we should report that to environmental as well.
I think the environmental health have already been reported to. haven't they?
Oh, yeah, but that's just, that's just more.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of agencies involved, and a lot of them are kind of scrambling around for their boundaries and what have you, passing the buck. I mean, we did through Julie this week in the office get the water tap up, the public toilets, the outside tap, so that maybe they can go in and use the inside one, but it's a lot harder than filling up water from that. So I think there are some kind of mitigation measures, but I just think if you start putting, Northern Eye parking would be the way I think we should go. So we don't want yellow lines, we don't want kind of, paid parking or anything like that, because that's the thin end of the wedge, I think, across the whole district, and I don't think we get support at all. But I'm sure, if I need to get public support, I'm sure that, it should be fairly easily, because there's no residential aspect to this down there, other than.
But there isn't in Aldeburgh and there isn't in Clarkson Frinton.
Okay, I'm going to, Alan, you've got your hand up. It is about this subject, isn't it?
Yeah, really small, sorry, I didn't want to leave anybody with the wrong impression about the Great Bentley thing. The meeting at Great Bentley was called by the cricket club to explain, and the only development to come out of it was the aspiration to start discussions. They haven't actually done a deal, but they were going down the road saying, let's start discussions. Almost exactly the same as Graham Steady said.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are we finished with this subject? I'll move us on then. Item 8, reports, the FCA.
So FCA meetings on the 4th of December here at the Parish Hall. Has everybody had a chance to look through the minutes? I'm not going to go into detail about every single item, but I think I'll just summarise the best one for everybody. The main one that we talked about was Lower Park playing fields, and I had a meeting with Colin Board from the Privacy Rugby Club. Terry and I had discussed previously whether we can use the Lower Park playing fields for a rugby pitch, and Terry marked it all out. Terry, the grounds manager, marked it all out, and it would seem that it's not actually big enough for a full-size pitch, but the rugby club do use it for training. And Colin's discussion with me was around the charging for that training. And we agreed that the pitch, as we've all spoken about before, is not a suitable standard for playing on a regular basis anyway. It's pretty substandard due to the stuff that's underneath the grass where the matter was built and just dumped the grass over. The rugby club wanted no charge for the use of the pitch, but we explained that every other sports club within Brighton Sea does incur a charge for using their grounds, but as Colin quite rightly pointed out, they're not using substandard grounds. So the FCA committee agreed it might be an idea to reduce their fees from £30 to £20, and that's really the only one I'd like a recommendation carried forward on, as to whether we reduce the rugby club fees from £30 to £20 for their training sessions.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Sorry, question?
A question,
Yeah.
it was only on that, sorry, I missed the meeting,
Sorry.
about the fly tipping of baguettes.
Yeah, something all over the
I
place.
didn't
don't
vote
they?
in those, but, baguettes were from Sainsbury's, following contact with them, they have now stopped donating bread to food charity. Can you just wonder?
So, I don't know if anybody's seen it on social media, there's been a bread trail, a Hansel and Gretel bread trail left regularly up Tenpenny Hill where baguettes and bread has been strewn across the road. Terry said they will be strewn down the prom and dumped in bins. So they were Sainsbury's
Who
bread.
do they think is doing that then?
Whoever collects the donations from various charities collecting food donations from the supermarkets. So they went and spoke to Sainsbury's, said we're not going to donate it anymore, and now it's Tesco's bread instead. So whoever was getting the donations has obviously been told no by Sainsbury's and gone to Tesco's. So but I don't know why it's been chucked. Why it's been waste of food, isn't it?
Brilliant. Any other questions?
I'm happy to recommend the reduction of the
Well, I think we'll have proposed and seconded for the recommendation to the FCA. Okay, second. Thank you. Any, all those involved? Thank you very much. And moving on to the ENT.
Everybody's got the notes of the meeting. There was a couple of things that come up. We're trying to refurbish the notice board, and there's a couple of prices there that we put to finance, and I think finance agreed a lower price.
Two notice boards.
Two notice boards,
Yeah,
is it?
one
Yeah,
hard and one storage.
yeah. I think we did agree that.
agreed to go from the 1st of April.
Everything from the 1st of April.
And not everything, but
Really everything. The other thing we did discuss, because there have been, at the last council meeting, an email from a resident, complaining about that the entrance to the gardens looks untidy. And we would just like to say that we do support the nature network groups, and that they're trying to just match everything in with nature and make it look, it might not look tidy at sometimes, but what they do is very well thought out. And
good
this
for nature.
council supports them.
Any questions?
So can I move the acceptance?
Yeah, can I have a seconder, please? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Moving on then to welfare and resident services.
Nothing more to add, because you spoke about those.
Thank you very much. Moving on then.
Sorry, Chris, can I just ask Jane, don't they say that they're at their quota for prescriptions? We're doing prescriptions up there. Have I misunderstood that in Boots? Did I read that somewhere else, that
They would struggle to take on
any more prescriptions?
but they are going to have a refit which will allow them more space, and Chris says we've got a new pharmacist coming in that will be a residential pharmacist, so I think once they're all in place just after in January, things will ease again.
Because this could tie in as well with new housing, if you've got a lot more people coming,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot more prescriptions,
But,
aren't there?
yeah, I'm going to ask them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, John, anything for the communications?
Communications has been actively working on behalf of the council in the background with press releases and newsletters, ably provided by our admin staff, Julie and Tracy. I think we're on top of it. So not too much to say about that. Tourism is pretty good. We've had the information come in yesterday for the Tenwood show, which will be passed on to Bookerstown on the same errand we had last time. We've got more people in the town that would like to join in helping to run the Tenwood show. The guide is progressive.
yeah, I was going to just make a point about the guide. I mean, when is our target date to come out? Because frankly, I think it's just way too late.
Yeah, it's-
we're dealing with.
We're only a little small entity here, we've got to, and Julie does do a lot. So I think
I'm not saying she doesn't. But
no, I think we're trying to look for it February, March. Yeah,
oh, that sounds better.
yeah.
Yeah,
You like that better?
I like that better.
And
he goes for that one. Okay, thank you, John. Any other questions for John?
March is too late. The town is very, very busy.
I think
Half term
Julie just said
February,
January.
I just, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because she's got the red pen as the editor, she's down there.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. regarding the Finance Property Committee, which sat this Tuesday. There are 4 of the recommendations there. The most important one is F228, which is budgets, and it's a recommendation that we are going to sit on the Tuesday, the 13th of January at 10 a.m. And we're asking all members to attend. This is an important meeting where we're setting all the budgets, the precept, and the charges for next year. And we are going to have to make a decision on that meeting, which will then go to the full council on Thursday, because we have to let tendering know by the Friday. So therefore, it is the most important meeting. So if you could all mark your calendars to make sure it's
13th of January.
yeah, 13th of January at 10 a.m. Perhaps you can let us know. Okay. Also, grounds maintenance. We've agreed in principle with Russell Garden Services. We're looking for other quotations, but that will make a difference to our working practices in our workforce. That might be very interesting to see how that progresses. As you said over there, Jean, earlier, the refurbishments of the boards will take place in April. The Oyster Tank car park refurbishment, we are going to do the levelling up of that immediately because of the health and safety. I think that needs to be done. And there's costing to that suggested schemes regarding the promenade will come back in future meetings. Other than that, the recommendations are in front of you.
Okay, any questions? Okay.
I'd just like to, because the time scales, if people have got any comments on the draft budget that's being produced, it'd be handy to get that in advance.
This is what we're just saying to Matt, if you could let us know.
Yeah, we've already got increased it because of the LGR. We need a very healthy legal budget.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
On the grounds maintenance, I think you say you're still looking for quotes.
Well, it's good practice, Matt, that we have at least 3 quotations. We've had this one quotation, which is quite exciting and does show the council some distinct advantages, particularly in them using all their own equipment. And it would be interesting to see how that progresses. However, we do need to get a couple more quotes. Really.
You've got a deadline.
I think that would start in about April time, isn't it?
No, well, we may need it, is it March to October, the contract will
Yeah,
be,
it's
so
March to
we need to be
October.
on top of it
I
by
would suggest it
February.
needs to be sorted out before the 1st of November.
Oh, of course, yes. So I think we are actively looking for another couple of quotations. At the moment, we haven't got any.
Terry's contacted quite a lot of people, but they're just not coming back,
No.
so
The contract
you know
is,
someone.
what's the size of the contract? Is that
It is within the realms of actually not needing 3 contracts, but it is good governance to
Sure,
actually
of
get
course,
that.
yeah.
So that if we try all fair means of getting them, and we still don't get them, then I think we can make a decision in January.
Okay, fine. Any other questions for Connie? Okay, thank you. I presume you're
Yeah.
opposing. Do you have a second?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favour? Good. Thank you. Moving on to item finance B. Sorry, Councillor Steady. Ah, right.
It's all about money.
We know.
Councillor Morgan and I have examined the accounts for November 2025, and under the delegated authority to the Finance Committee, confirms the 11 payments in the sum of £5,457 have been authorised and paid. The statement of balances on the following accounts are to be accepted. Current account £62,298.79p. Business premium account £28,839.54p. Business premium account £512. The CCLA Public Sector Deposit Fund £52,444.93p. The Instant Access Account, that's interesting, we get some tomorrow, is £24,536.36p. The current T2 account, £109,130.55p, making the total of all accounts of £277,762.17p. the Chancellor of the Exchequer normally does this, doesn't he?
Whiskey, that's normally what.
Income for November 2025, £23,396.12p. Expenditure for November 2025, £32,721.97p. Income today, 1st of April to the 30th of November 2025, £443,470.57p. Expenditure today, 1st of April 30th to the 30th of November 2025, £302,917.04p. Employee payments paid for the month of November 2025 were £20,043.05p. Barclaycard payments for November 2025, £24.99. I rest my case.
Thank you very much.
I'll second
A second, all those in favour of the accounts?
Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving on then to item 10, planning.
Thank you, Chair. I can't find my planning,
Planning decisions.
planning decisions. Thank you. We have planning meetings on,
There's no meetings. It's only decisions.
oh, okay. You have before you planning decisions, what about the planning, board? You have the planning decisions? For you, and I move that we accept them. Just before we do that, can I ask, Jane, you've got a statement to make?
I have, this is, just now basically, and it's to confirm that planning application 25/01552/FUL, retrospective change of use from builder's yard to B2 general industry, get it right, and retention of small storage unit. The yard, Lime Street, Brightlingsea, was refused at the end of play yesterday, the 10th of December. There are several reasons regarding highways, neighbour harm and the coastal protection designation. This should be online shortly, if not already. The case is being returned to the council enforcement team for consideration, so they will take up the enforcements now.
That's what we want.
Right, regarding the other application, 25/01157/FUL, planning application, retention of timber cabin not built as approved under 24/00316 FUL for Class E, light industrial, printmaking and joinery at the Boatyard, Lime Street. This is still pending decision as of the 11th. However, officers have written a report recommending the refusal of case with several reasons for refusal. This is waiting for Mr. KPG to review and sign off. This will be dealt with at the very latest Tuesday, if not sooner.
Thank you
So
very much.
recommended both refusal, which means the call-in that we put in for, which would have been February, will now not take place.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
they
news.
will. Yeah, good news.
Thank you very much.
So can I move that we accept these decisions, Chair?
Yes, now we've done that. So I presume you're proposing?
I'm proposing.
Do we have a second? Second there. All those in favour? Agreed. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we therefore move to item 11, which is questions from the public.
Right, it's not a question, but I'd like to say thank you to all the councillors for their work during the year. Appreciate it, and we'll wish you a happy Christmas, and to Alan Goggin for his thing in the district council, because the district councillors are under a lot of pressure with this reorganisation. And on a sad note, in 2 years' time, if I'm still here, that will be the last time that we'll be talking about tendering district council, and that will be a sad loss, because when it goes, you're going to have to be really up for the fight for the government, because they're going to take this battle for housing from their point of view, and I suggest you might like to read the white paper. It's still quite interesting reading. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Is there any other questions from the public? Oh, yes, we do.
I'd just like to thank the council as well for their ongoing support this year. It's been, top notch, so thank you very much.
No, we're very pleased we got a result. Very pleased. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we'll therefore move on to the final item. Item 12, the clerk's report. And that is just.
Just make a point about the report and the reminder that it has the consultation on the proposals for LGR. I think we said that we would like to submit a council position. I know it's probably getting a bit too close to Christmas and Northern Fair with it, but can I suggest that we meet first thing in the new year on the 6th of January, Tuesday the 6th?
We probably have a planning meeting that day, so if we incorporate it into
I think
planning.
we do. I think I've got an iCap idea. I've certainly got planning.
Without checking the diary, I can't.
Yeah. Well, I can't do planning.
I have got planning.
Yeah, I think planning is a.
Well, maybe you could discuss it if we prepare something. We can discuss it, and I'll be supportive of opposing everything. Opposing LGR by that time might not be happening, would it?
So we want that meeting after that?
If possible, yeah.
What time is that?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I
Planning's
think
at 10, is it?
10.
11, say?
Yeah.
But I won't be there.
Okay.
I'll try and do a
Yeah,
briefing
yeah.
for people to discuss.
Actually, I think it probably is still part of planning.
Do it as
It's
part
part
of
of planning,
planning.
but
Put it in the planning.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Invite everybody.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. If I can just officially from the council wish the members of the public, thank you very much for your attendance over the year. And may I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, and happy Christmas to the staff, I forgot to mention. Sorry, I was getting it.
You were saying that she hasn't put the wine out. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.